Hey everybody. So in this video we are going to be looking at the digital deck of World Architect cards that are featured in the RPG WorldBuilder app. Let's get into this. We're going to click on cards. We are going to select the type of deck we want from this list. We have biomes, builds, and rooms. Biomes are the overworld cards that would be in the World Architect deck, things like forests and mountains and valleys and plains and that sort of thing. Builds are the builds that were in the original World Architect card deck, things like castles, towers, bridges, towns, anything that would have been constructed. And then dungeons represent the digital dungeon architect cards. We have our own standalone video for the dungeon architect cards, but in this video we're going to be looking at the World Architect cards, the biomes specifically. So we're going to select that. And these gray squares right here are just graphical placeholders right now. In the beta version, we'll have icons that are representative of each different type of deck. But for right now, what we're going to do is we are going to build our World Architect card deck. And the way you do this is just select the deck that you want, and then we're going to select our dominant biome in this deck. We're going to select mountains. Biomes, you can select 5 of these. We're going to select jungle, we're going to select mountains, plains, swamp, and wasteland. We're going to hit OK. And then we can select how many cards we want to generate in this deck. This will build a deck of 25 World Architect cards. So we're just going to hit build. And then what you're going to see here is a deck of World Architect cards that have been generated from the types of biomes that we selected. In this example, in this working example right here, you'll see the title of the card at the top, and then an image of the card, and then underneath that image you will see 15 descriptors that describe that particular biome. And then underneath those descriptors you'll see 6 weather icons. In the beta release of in the full version of this app, what we will have is, and this will work very similarly to the Dungeon Architect cards list of descriptors. These are going to be randomly generated based on the biome. So mountains and plains and Arctic will have different descriptors based on their type of biome, but these will be auto-generated or randomly generated each time a deck is created, and that's the same way with the weather. Now, in this example, that's not happening. At least I don't think that's happening. No, you'll see that the descriptors look the same for each card. So I want to point out that these descriptors are going to be randomly generated in the beta release and then the final version, of course, and the same thing with weather. But what we have right here is a working deck of World Architect cards that are showing the dominant type of card, which is mountains, and then we have wasteland and more mountains and plains, and each of these cards can be used to inspire and direct you in building an overworld map. And also describing and creating weather for that type of map. So if you have adventurers who are moving into mountains and you need some descriptions of mountains, then you can generate a deck of mountain-specific cards to give you some sort of inspiration in describing what's going on in those mountains. And also with the weather. So you'll notice on these cards there's 6 different types of weather, and you could easily roll a d6 to determine what the weather is that day. So say we rolled a 3 on this card and maybe it's foggy. Maybe on this one we rolled a 5 and it's windy. So this is the World Architect cards. They work very similarly to the digital version of the Dungeon Architect cards in that they randomly generate a deck of cards. You can determine what the number of cards are in the deck that is generated, and then it randomly pulls descriptions and weather onto each card. So basically, every time you generate a deck, you're going to have a different deck every time you build one. So that's the World Architect card element of the RPG World Builder, and thanks for watching.